Right now, somewhere in Silicon Valley, Elon Musk is worth over $1 trillion. 1 trillion. He owns rockets, he owns satellites, he owns electric cars, AI companies, and a social media platform. The whole world talks about him like he is the greatest display of wealth this planet has ever seen. But here's the thing, there was a man 700 years ago in West Africa who was so unbelievably, incomprehensibly, jaw-droppingly rich that economists today literally cannot calculate his full wealth. Not because the records are lost, but because his fortune was so enormous that our modern financial system does not have the tools to measure it. He did not own Tesla. He did not own SpaceX. He owned half the world's gold. Half of all the gold on Earth. His name was Mansa Musa. And today, we are going to find out who is actually richer. And trust me, when you hear what this man did just by traveling, you will never look at modern billionaires the same way again, ever. Let's go back to the year 1312. Not to Europe, not to Asia, but to West Africa, to an empire so powerful, so wealthy, so brilliantly organized that historians today still struggle to fully describe it, the Mali Empire. And in 1312, a man named Mansa Musa took the throne. Mansa means King of Kings. Emperor, the highest title a human being could hold, and this man, he was going to take that title and make it mean something the world had never seen before. Born around 1280, Musa was the 10th Mansa of the Mali Empire. When he came to power, he inherited something extraordinary. His empire sat on top of the richest land in the medieval world. The Mali Empire controlled the gold mines of Bambouk and Bure, regions that were producing more gold than anywhere else on the entire planet. And not just gold, salt, ivory, copper, trade routes that connected West Africa to North Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. Everything passed through Mali, and Musa controlled all of it. Historians estimate that during his reign, the Mali Empire produced roughly 50% of the world's entire gold supply. 50%. While the rest of the world was fighting over scraps, this one empire was sitting on top of half the planet's most valuable resource. And Musa did not just sit on it, he built with it. He expanded his empire across nearly 2 million square kilometers, incorporating powerful cities like Timbuktu and Gao. He built universities, mosques, libraries, trade centers. Under his rule, Timbuktu became one of the greatest centers of learning in the entire medieval world. Scholars from across the Muslim world came to study there. It was the Harvard of the 14th century, except it was in Africa, and the world had no idea. Now, here is where his wealth starts to become genuinely difficult to understand. Economists and historians who have tried to calculate Mansa Musa's net worth in today's money arrive at numbers between $400 billion and $415 billion. Some say it goes far beyond that. One professor at the University of California described contemporary accounts of his wealth as so breathless, it is almost impossible to get a sense of just how wealthy and powerful he truly was. In other words, even the experts cannot fully explain it. Compare that to Elon Musk. Right now, in 2026, Musk is worth approximately $1 trillion, making him the world's first trillionaire. That's right. That sounds like Musk wins, right? Hold on, because here's the problem with that comparison. Musk's wealth is tied to stock prices. Numbers on a screen. Tesla goes up, he gets richer. Tesla goes down, he loses billions in a single day. In 2022 alone, Musk lost $200 billion in 1 year. 200 billion gone in 12 months. Mansa Musa's wealth was physical, real, tangible. Gold sitting in vaults, land stretching across 2 million square kilometers, salt mines producing income every single day, trade routes flowing with goods year after year, century after century. His wealth did not crash when a stock market had a bad week. It just was solid, permanent, unshakable. Now, This is the part of the story that most people never get to hear. And honestly, this single moment in history is the most spectacular display of wealth the world has ever recorded. Nothing before it, nothing since, nothing even close. In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to go on his Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca that every Muslim is expected to complete at least once in their lifetime. Simple enough, right? A religious journey, a spiritual trip. Pack a bag, hit the road. Except Mansa Musa did not pack a bag. He packed an empire. According to Arab historian Al-Omari, who interviewed Egyptian officials who actually witnessed the event, Musa's caravan consisted of 60,000 people. 60,000, his entire royal court, his military, entertainers, scholars, officials, and 12,000 personal slaves, each carrying 4 pounds of pure gold bars. Not as payment, not for trade, just as part of the luggage. But wait, it gets more insane. He also brought 80 camels, and each of those camels was carrying between 50 and 300 pounds of gold dust. That is roughly 12 tons of gold dust just for the trip, just for walking around money. His 500 royal heralds walked at the front of the caravan, each one dressed in Persian silk, each one carrying a solid gold staff. The caravan stretched so far across the desert that people standing at the back could not see the front. And as he traveled, he gave. He gave gold to the poor along the road. He gave gold to rulers he met. He gave gold to mosques. He gave gold to merchants. He bought souvenirs and paid whatever price was asked, without question, without negotiation. Because why would you negotiate when you have more gold than any market in the world has ever seen? Then he reached Egypt. In this is where history gets truly extraordinary. When Mansa Musa arrived in Cairo, he camped by the pyramids of Giza for 3 days. He met with the Sultan of Egypt, Al-Nasir Muhammad, and then he went shopping. He gave gifts to everyone. He flooded Cairo with gold, more gold than the Egyptian economy had ever seen in one place at one time. And here is what happened. Prices rocketed as all that new gold entered the market. The value of gold in Egypt collapsed. Supply went up, value went down. Basic economics. Except imagine that happening to the foundation of your entire financial system. Gold was the backbone of medieval economies. When gold loses its value, everything breaks. Egypt's economy crashed. Prices of goods soared. Trade was disrupted. And that damage lasted for 12 years. 12 years just from Mansa Musa passing through on his way to Mecca, being generous. Here's the part some historians find fascinating. Later, on his way back, Musa actually realized what he had done. He tried to fix it. He borrowed gold back from Egyptian merchants at high interest, specifically to drain some of the excess gold from the market and help stabilize the economy he had accidentally destroyed. He crashed a country's economy with his generosity, then tried to fix it with his business brain on a religious holiday. Has Elon Musk ever done that? Has anyone? Now, let's actually put these two men side by side, because this is where it gets really, really interesting. Elon Musk, as of 2026, is worth approximately $1 trillion. He built that from scratch, starting from a small software company called Zip2 in 1995. He then co-founded PayPal. He invested everything into Tesla, which nearly went bankrupt in 2008. Then SpaceX, which everyone told him was insane. He risked it all multiple times and came out on the other side as the world's first trillionaire. Honestly, that is extraordinary. That is one of the greatest wealth building stories in human history. But Mansa Musa did not build his wealth. He inherited the most resource-rich empire on the planet, and then he made it bigger, much bigger. That $400 billion estimate is just adjusted for inflation from his known assets. But here's what most comparisons miss. Musa's empire spanned 2 million square kilometers of land. Land with gold mines, salt mines, trade routes. In today's terms, owning the land and the resources underneath it is a completely different category of wealth than owning company shares. If you owned 50% of the entire world's gold supply today, you would not be a billionaire. You would not be a trillionaire. You would be in a category that has no word for it yet.
Some economists who have seriously studied this question argue that Mansa Musa's real wealth, if you account for the territory, the resources, the trade monopolies, and the productive output of the empire, could be several $trillion in modern terms, not 1 trillion, several. And here's the other thing, Elon Musk's wealth fluctuates. On his worst days, he has lost more money in 24 hours than most countries earn in a year. Musa's wealth did not fluctuate. It was land, it was gold in the ground, it was a continent of resources that could not be deleted by a bad earnings report. So who was richer? On paper, in raw numbers, Elon Musk is currently worth more in dollar terms, but those numbers are tied to screens, to stock markets, to investor sentiment. Mansa Musa's wealth was real, physical, and so vast that it literally broke other countries when he casually spent some of it on a trip. One man built rockets to escape the planet. One man was so wealthy that he accidentally destroyed a country's economy by being kind to strangers on the road. 700 years of human progress, trillions of dollars of technology, satellites, electric cars, AI. And the honest truth, history's scoreboard is still not settled. 3 facts, let them sit with you for a second. Elon Musk, the world's first trillionaire, made headlines for crossing $1 trillion. Mansa Musa's wealth, in some estimates, could have been several trillion, in a world where a trillion was not even a concept yet. Musk lost $200 billion in 1 year. Mansa Musa gave away so much gold on a single trip that an entire nation's economy did not recover for over a decade. And Musa built the city of Timbuktu into one of the greatest universities in the medieval world at a time when most of Europe could not even read. So here's the question that history leaves us with. Well, we live in an age of billionaires, trillionaires, stock markets, and startups. We think wealth today is bigger than it has ever been. But was a man in 14th century West Africa, quietly, calmly, sitting on more wealth than any human being alive today. Maybe the most erased truth of all is not hidden in a secret document. It is not buried under a conspiracy. It is sitting right there in plain history in the story of an African emperor that most of the world was never taught about in school. The truth was not hidden, it was just erased.